Hey guys, how's it going? So today, just a brief one actually, because I've taken a few trades this morning. Now, going off last week, I did say I was going to take less trades, but I did end up taking quite a few this morning. But they formed profitable because of where we were positioned. So it's one of those things I always say. It's being conscious about it, but knowing when you can be more active and when you need to take a step back and slow down. Now the markets have momentum, so it only makes sense naturally that your trade frequency may increase ever so slightly, but it's not something that I personally would allow myself to stop me from getting into a good quality trade. So there's one trade that I am currently looking at and currently in, is Aussie New Zealand. Structurally this looks really good. It's just one of those pairs that could require a bit more patience, but positioning, we've come in with a 3-touch, we've wicked through it, we've rejected, nice candlestick confirmation, follow through on the hourly. The 4 hours a little bit lacking in my opinion. I mean, we did do more than enough, so I would be cautious with something in here just in case we kind of push up and then sell off. It does happen sometimes, but this can still just sell off from here, so something to just bear in mind. But on the daily it still looks pretty good. It's not the greatest area, I'll be honest with you, but the trade quality is there, and I wouldn't really let small confluences put you off right now because the higher time frame is basically in. So the trades that I did take today were on silver and the Germany 40, so I've basically marked it on here because I was just demonstrating to a friend. But essentially what we had on the higher time frame from the SMB was we saw that big momentum push out, so we were looking for continuation to the downside. I also do apologize if you can hear some construction work in the background. It's only because, well, they're doing construction. So what we can see here is we were looking at this reference point we had right here, and I was basically looking for that to get tapped into to then go short. What I did then see when I refined it on the 15 was, okay, so we are squeezing with a 1, 2, 3 up. We did have internal structure. So what we had is we had a corrective push to the second touch, and then internally we had a structure when refined on the 5. So then if I did squeeze it and you did look at it like this, you can then see that what was nice about this is we met with that, and we met with it with structure. We then gave confirmation. This was a very aggressive play here, but I managed it aggressively, and then we created continuation over here, which had enough depth for me to then say, okay, could I get protection in? Yeah, absolutely. And then I was able to get into that position once again, more aggressive as we broke these lows. And then yeah, I was playing to this low here, but I just wanted to be more aggressive naturally because I wanted to lock in more profit. So I have currently reached my milestone, so I've made over 10% now on the account with 0.25%, so I will be increasing my risk now to 0.5%, which is nice. And then we had this really nice deliberate continuation pattern here, and then I was able to get in with an entry over there with protection. This was a little bit more aggressive, but this ended 3.5%. So these were pretty good positions actually. I think these were really nice. I actually think I got in a bit higher. I think I actually went really aggressive on this with a true risk entry. I'm not too sure, can't remember now, but even so, that was pretty nice. And then I was more aggressive, as you can see, as we approached these lows. So naturally I just moved my stops. And then came out around about here. Silver on board here as well. So what we had over here is, and I'm quite happy that I moved this one on to watch on the SMB, because it was like in the last minute where I kind of just decided that I'm going to add it on. So I did have an entry in here on Friday, but then I closed it because of the weekend and whatnot. So I didn't want to just wake up and then price just kind of tagged me out or something. It's not a great way to start your week. So then what I did decide was, I saw the push, this was the first continuation, and I kind of looked at that as this is a great area. Now, we are currently meeting with that area where I was looking for an entry, but because I've got full focus on Aussie New Zealand at the moment, I'm not going to be looking for the entry immediately, but wouldn't be surprised if this did sell off from here. This would really be interesting for a trade here, and then just protection above these areas if needed. But this is still pretty interesting for a trade, but the trade was taken on that retrace candle right there on the close, and then boom, straight in for the trade. Nice thing about these is they kind of move away. Now I did opt in for a 10 pip stop loss, which was slightly above here. I wasn't concerned about this, but 10 was just kind of where I wanted to get in at. So this kind of pushed in, and then it dropped off around about 2% and then pulled back. I believe I got out for about 1% on this. Not 1.5, this was 1%, but there was, I did see it as a little bit of a mismanaged there. I should have walked away with 1.5, but either way, that was overall percent trade on there. And then now we've got Aussie New Zealand that we're just basically waiting on. So it's been pretty good for the run today. There's been a few things shaping up. I just think they need a little bit more time rather than people rushing into them. It's just one of those ones where even though we have momentum, I want to be quite particular with what I'm looking at. I don't want to just be jumping into a position for the sake of it. So you can see that full focus on one pair could actually be very profitable. Just focusing on this little run here, I was able to capitalize on, was that 3.5, 6, 7% just on that little run there this morning. So that is actually extremely good. Obviously, it is riskier as well to be trading like this, but it comes with experience. Because that's corrective, I was more than happy to just get out, because I can overall see that this could be developing into something a little bit more complex. So this could come in for a larger 3-touch or something like that, and I'd be more happy to wait for that, but I wouldn't be surprised if this did sell off. The great thing about this is it had huge downside potential, so if it was the one that typically just went, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd be happy with that, because the management would be fairly easy into these lows and that low and so forth. So still keeping a side watch on the Germany 40, just not looking for an entry just yet. This one is kind of shaping up to where I was looking at it, but because of how AN shaped up, I'm just going to stay out of this one. I don't see it or deem it to be absolutely necessary. AN, I'll give this one a chance. Now I'm trading with 0.5% risk on this. My current account balance at this point is 5,400, so a little bit extra in there. What I did do is I did use that little bit of extra risk to basically scale in on this. So I took the risk entry, and then basically just saying it now, I just believe I've actually over risked on my 0.5%. But I'll have to fix that in a second. But yeah, so then I was able to just get in on the reduced risk down here, and then put stops up here somewhere. Now AN is typically one of those ones that does pull back sometimes, so I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened. It went up and then it came down. Things like that do happen on this pair. Obviously, looking at the 4-hour, it's still quite probable that we could see something like that, especially that it's still hovering in this area. If it did come up like that and drop, don't be too surprised. Just understand this part of the game. So if you are getting in for the risk entry, you'd ideally want to have stops above this. You could crop through that little bit of wick there, but ideally above that, and then more than likely you'd be in for the run. But the momentum that I'm seeing already looks very positive in my eyes, because even though we are pushing down and accumulating, we're pushing down and accumulating to the downside. So it's still looking pretty good. And then I think if you go into the lower time frames, you can see as well that there was actually structure within here, which is nice. You had this little piece of price, and then now we're just creating another piece of action over here, and then maybe that will just drop. So just have to bear that in mind, that there is opportunity there. But when you did look at an entry in this area, you'd see that stop loss placement, even 10 pips would put you all the way up here. So it just made sense naturally to either go 10 or even 7 at the absolute, but just understand the whole nature of what I just said. If I could pull up some examples of it, that would be really useful for you guys. So here, I'll show you one here now. Just as a prime example, here we go. So you've got this whole area here, and you can see it's done more than enough here. But typical with AN, it drops off and then it pulls back aggressively, and then it starts the massive run. Don't be surprised if you see something similar in this area. So don't go too tight if you are getting into a position there. If you are, you could partially close on the position just to open up some of your risk. Now it's really up to you how you want to deal with that, but just understand the territory that you're dealing with sometimes. Sometimes you can just get a straight drop off. It doesn't always necessarily have to happen like that, but time and time again, I've seen it where, you know, you think it's done more than enough, and then you've had this, and then it just comes back up, taps in and sells. Once again, you know, you think it's done more than enough, comes down, comes back up, doesn't quite meet the high, but then it sells off. And it's just something that I've experienced multiple times over the course of the years, and I've seen it. So to mitigate against it, I'm just going to use previous price action with this particular pair to prevent me from a potential loss. Now, sometimes that can work against you because you do play with the risk a little bit more, but really and truly the idea is to make money and to grow your capital. So if I can mitigate risk in any way utilizing my previous experience, I will. All in all, everything is looking really positive. The markets are looking really sharp. I don't see any crazy developments just yet. I think setting alerts is definitely key because of the market conditions we're potentially in. We are seeing volume, so if price happens to spike, tap into your value area and go, you would want to have at least enough time to just reevaluate things, see how we approached it. For example, if this did something like this, right, where it came down, did this, and then came in over here, and then sold, right, you wouldn't be surprised at that. But did you have enough time to process that information? And maybe you found something in here that met your criteria, and because you weren't sharp, or you weren't ready, or you saw it a bit late when it was down here somewhere, you missed out on the opportunities there that you may have potentially taken due to your trading plan. So it's just something that I would also just price into your entries, is that avoid FOMO, but if you can prevent it by setting alerts, that's basically what you'd want to be doing right now. So overall, we're looking really good. Great start to the week. I will probably just be fully focusing on Aussie New Zealand now, and probably just jump into a meditation, and then most probably if I get a little bit more time, I will probably do some data collection today as well on Aussie New Zealand, only because I've got a trade open on it, so I don't see why not. But yeah, that was pretty much the video for today. Hope you guys found some value in it, and some insights on some trades that kind of shaped up this morning. Obviously, this one here was kind of one where I just woke up, kind of washed my face and stuff, and then it was roughly around about 5:45 UK, which was roughly around about 7:45 my time. So I had around about, I mean, I woke up around about 7, so I had 45 minutes between my entry in this, and yeah, it was just one of those ones. I'd understand if you'd miss it because you woke up at whatever time and you just didn't catch it, but really and truly, I think that would be an excuse, because there was more than enough here. It is riskier, but you learn from these as well. So guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.